to this earth and into all those around us. Thank you for blessing us with the ability to maintain, sustain the spiritual energy and increase, improve upon it constantly. With deep gratitude, with deep respect, and with lots of love, we thank you. Atma Namaste to all of you. Let us continue with the rule 6, kill out the desire for sensation. Yes, we are on the rule 6, kill out the desire for sensation. This is part of the rule 8. This is part of the rule 8. Commentary by Master Paul on the rule 6. Learn from sensation and observe it. Learn from sensation and observe it. A very important teaching will come across now. This is actually the teaching of Gautam Buddha. How to eliminate or how to understand suffering and eliminate it. How to understand suffering and eliminate it. To understand why we land into a state of suffering. What is the reason of suffering? How can we overcome it? That is the question. Kill out the desire for sensation. Part of Rule 8, commentary by Master Paul on the Rule 6, learn from sensation and observe it. Because only so can you commence the science of self knowledge and plant your foot on the first step of the ladder. So, cognition. What did Gautam Buddha say? Let us look at it. Cognition. The input one receives from our senses, eyes, vision, ears. Eyes will see, ears will hear. The nose can smell, the tongue can taste, and the skin can feel, and the mind can think. All of this that the sensory organs can do is called as cognition. Okay, recognition, right? You come across this word, right? Recognition. So, as the Gautam Buddha would put it into 4 steps, cognition. Cognition means recognition. Cognition means recognition through the senses. The input you receive from your senses is called as cognition. The eyes can see, the ears can hear, the nose can smell, the tongue can taste, the skin feel, and the mind can think. So, Gautam Buddha starts his understanding on why there is suffering in this manner. Why there is suffering? संघर्ष क्यों होता है, दुख क्यों होता है? Why there is suffering is the first question. Yes. Perception. Based on the input received, one perceives what is cognized as very good, good, average, bad, or worst. Based on the input which is received, we can perceive and we can say that this is very good or this is good or average, bad, or worst. That is the whole point. Perception. What my senses pick up, I have already gauged it with a certain adjective, depending on my past experiences. जो हम देखते हैं कभी बहुत सुंदर होता है तो that is very good or very beautiful, or it can be ugly or very bad. What I hear, depending on what my experiences, can be very good or not so good. What I taste, depending on my previous experience of my taste buds, yes, can be good or bad. Are you understanding the point? It can come into these categories: very good, good, average, bad, or worst. What I smell can feel, like a fragrance. It can be very good, good, average, bad, or worst. for those people who smell things. And if you have a feeling, touch, when you purchase clothes, लोग जो कपड़े खरीदते हैं, their skin, the feeling, the touching that they actually put themselves into. Yes, that also produces a perception that what I'm touching, what I'm wearing, or somebody else is wearing looks good or looks bad, looks average. These are perceptions based on the inputs that your sensory organs have given to you. If you are a thinker, what you are listening to, what you are listening to, the thought which is being discussed, the thought which is being discussed, you start gauging it as very good, good, average, bad, or worse. Can you understand me? To be able to understand this, also, there requires a little bit of intellectual understanding. Yes, to be able to learn from intellectual understanding. Very, very important. So, based on what your senses are recognizing, cognizing, there is a perception that you add on to them based on your past experiences. Based on the perception, sensation is generated, and based on this perception of whether it is nice or not good, a sensation is immediately generated and follows the reaction. Follows the reaction. Reaction is based on the sensation produced. I hope you are getting my point. This is how we perceive the world around us. ये बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है, किस तरीके से हम अपने आसपास के दुनिया को समझते हैं, इसका वर्णन हो रहा है। किस तरीके से हम अपने जिंदगी में दुख या खुशी का अनुभव करते हैं, इसका वर्णन हो रहा है। जब हम किसी चीज को देखते हैं, सूंघते हैं, टेस्ट करते हैं, when we are seeing something, when we are tasting something, when we are feeling something, what we get out of it, that feeling, that tasting, is called as perception. Is called as perception. It is a very important point. And from this perception comes the sensation. Depending on what I gauge it, I have created a sensation. Some can be sensationally good, or some can just be average. A sensation has been created. And that determines my reaction. In the beginning, these are slow. मतलब किसी चीज के लिए किसी डिस्कशन में मैं अच्छा बुरा का नाप तोल करूं और फिर मैं उसके हिसाब से एक सेंसेशन बनाऊं और उसके हिसाब से हम रिएक्ट करें, ये बहुत तेजी तेजी से नहीं होता है। पहले पहले काफी धीरे धीरे से होता है, लेकिन चलते 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 ये इतना तेजी से हो जाता है कि रिएक्शन, you will not be able to estimate your reaction. The speed of your reaction becomes so strong. This is all based on the previous cognition, the grief that your mind perceives, based on previous cognition, perception, which has created a sensation called grief. And that is how you react to the world. We need to control at the level of sensation. इसको कहाँ पे हम लोग काटें ताकि हम रिएक्ट ना करें। और याद रखिए, हर रिएक्शन के साथ एक कर्मा बनता है। हर रिएक्शन के साथ एक कर्मा बनता है, ये सच है। Reaction is the only thing which can bind you to the state of a karmic repeat, 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 repeat. Karmically repeat कैसे होता है situations? How do I get stuck into patterns? I can find myself stuck into patterns only by repeating a reaction. And this reaction becomes automatic when my perception and sensation is so quick. When I become the slave of my sensory organs, when I become the slave of my sensory organs, my eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin, and mind starts controlling my soul, my Jivatma. Now, the Jivatma has two choices. Listen to me clearly. The Jivatma has two choices: to come under the control of the higher soul or to come under the control of the senses. May we all be blessed with the grace and the teacher, Master Choa, Chohan Jigmeling, Mahaguru Meling, Buddha Kuan Yin and Buddha Shakyamuni, to be able to understand this important spiritual truth. Yes, the Four Noble Truths. These are called as the Four Noble Truths. And the way to overcome this is called as the Eightfold Path of, it is called as the Eightfold Path, which helps us to overcome suffering. So these are the Four Noble Truths, that we have sensory organs, and these sensory organs can enslave us. How do these sensory organs function? They are based upon a certain perception. They decide whether something is good, bad, average, worst. And based on their perceptions, a sensation is generated. And this leads us to react in a certain way without even understanding, without ever gauging it against the Atma or the Paramatma. आत्मा और परमात्मा के नज़र से देखने के पहले कई, मतलब इस दुनिया के 99% लोगों का रिएक्शन कैसे होता है? ऑल information is gauged against the sensory organs reaction that leads us to the creation of karma. Whether you recognize something as very good, very beautiful, very sensational, very loving, when you start attaching yourself and you react even in a state of extreme happiness, that also is a creation of a sensation. Remember this. The disciple has to learn to observe. When you become an observer, you become a part of the higher soul. You become a sakshi. To be able to overcome the past situation that we discussed in this one previous slide, which is actually called as the Four Noble Truths, the teaching which is given by Lord Gautam Buddha. This is part of the teaching called as Buddhism Revealed. Yes, cognition, perception, sensation, and reaction. So, observation is the key to break our cycle of karma. How do I break from my cycle of reactions? How do I stop myself from reacting? When I start becoming an observer, when I start practicing patience, when I simply become the sakshi, the witness, that is when I can break free from the state of reaction which creates karma. When I react to any situation, I am bound by the karmic outcome. The very fact of your studying them has drawn your life away from them, so as to destroy for the time being, the identification of yourself with your thoughts which habitually exist. The moment we become an observer, let us go through this slide and go back to the previous slide again to understand the importance of what we are trying to speak. The moment you become an observer, you become one with the higher soul. Repeat, the moment you become an observer, you become one with the higher soul. जब हम साक्षी भाव में आ जाते हैं, हम अपने आत्मा और परमात्मा के साथ एक हो जाते हैं। और इस साक्षी भाव में जब हम किसी वस्तु को एक साक्षी बन के देखना शुरू कर देते हैं, तो अक्सर हम किसी वस्तु या सेंसरी ऑर्गन के साथ हम अपने आप को जोड़ लेते हैं, अपना पहचान बना देते हैं। इस पहचान को हमने तोड़ लिया। जैसे ही हमने इस पहचान को तोड़ लिया, हमने अपने आप को कर्म के बंधन से मुक्त कर लिया। This is a very important understanding. How do you liberate yourself from the state of constant karmic cycle? This is a very important teaching. How do you liberate yourself from the state of a constant karmic cycle? The constant karmic cycle which binds you, which holds you, which arrests you literally into the karma. We need to break free from it. What is it? We need to break free from it. The disciple must observe the working of sensation in himself and outside. When you become a Sakshi and you are only focusing as a third person, as an observer, trying to look at what is happening as a sensation within you and around you, you are already started breaking free from the possibility of a reaction and binding yourself into a karmic cycle. जब हम एक साक्षी बन जाते हैं तो हम अपने आप को इस कर्म के बंधन से छुटकारा देना शुरू कर देते हैं. When you start studying something, when you start observing something, when you start just paying attention to something, that means you have already disconnected yourself from identifying that what you're observing as yourself, that what you are studying as yourself, that what you are seeing as yourself. The moment you stop identification with what you are seeing, studying, observing, witnessing, you will disconnect yourself from the karmic pattern that that particular object holds. जैसे ही हम किसी वस्तु से, किसी एक सेंसेशन से, किसी एक फीलिंग से हम अपने आप को काटते हैं, सिर्फ उस सेंसेशन, फीलिंग या वस्तु को, आप समझ लीजिए जैसे कि बाहर से कोई बस देख रहा है, उसको समझने की कोशिश कर रहा है, उसके तरफ एक साक्षी भाव में उसको बस समझने की, स्टडी करने की कोशिश कर रहा है. वो अपने आप को उस वस्तु के साथ, उस सेंसेशन के साथ, उस फीलिंग के साथ, अपने आप का पहचान उस चीज के साथ बनाना खत्म कर देता है. यू स्टॉप इट, यू सीज इट. और जब इसको खत्म कर देते हो तो आप अपने आप को उस वस्तु के साथ जोड़ के अपने कर्मा को और आगे बढ़ाना बंद कर देते हो. Anything which is connected to the existence of the consciousness other than the Atma and the Paramatma has a repetitive karmic cycle. Anything which is not the Paramatma and Atma, which is connected to this earth, which is part of the etheric physical world, emotional world, and the mental world, binds you into a state of karmic cycle. Please understand this. Start at least listening to it, remembering, practicing. Yes, very nice. Yes. Banu says, like a passing cloud, look at it. Yes, that's a very important way of putting it. Now, this story which comes to describe that you look at something like a passing cloud is when Gautam Buddha looks at Angulimal. Angulimal kaun hai? Who is Angulimal? As the name states, he was a murderer who used to murder people and was amassing their thumbs, making a garland out of it. And he was having a target of amassing 1,000 thumbs of people, kill them, cut their thumbs, put it into a garland, and then he had to go and report to one person. That was his target which was given to him. It was not a personal target, it was a target which was given to him by one of his mentors. It is very important to have a very good mentor, otherwise, a mentor can even mislead you. Right? So, Angulimal and Gautam Buddha actually were part of the same college, the same university in Takshashila. Now, this professor or teacher, a very renowned acharya of Takshashila, the University of Takshashila, was poisoned, his ears were poisoned by the other students who were jealous of Angulimal and made the professor or the teacher to mislead Angulimal, who was a very, very righteous person and, of course, disciplined listener. What the teacher said, what the guru said, what the acharya said was Dev Vachan. That means that was God, God's words. Right? Are you getting my point? Now, this is the story of Angulimal. Now, this highly developed scholar who was completely taught to be in a state of discipline, not question the guru or the acharya, and just listen. Yes, just listen. Now he was misguided by this acharya or the guru. That is how the story of Angulimal starts. And Angulimal goes into this killing spree, which was the guidance given by the teacher of Takshashila, a very renowned university at that time in the state of Nepal, where even Gautama Buddha had passed out from Takshashila. Now he was told by this professor that you have to kill 1,000 people and cut off their thumbs and make a garland. तो तक्षशिला के एक प्रोफेसर के आदेश से या उनके या आदेश के अनुसार अंगुलीमाल एक मर्डरर बना, एक हत्यारा बना। तो उसको एक लक्ष्य दिया गया कि तुम 1,000 लोगों को मार के उनके अंगूठे को काट के उसको माला बना के फिर ही तुम मेरे एक बेहतरीन शिष्य माने जाओगे. That was actually a target which was given to him. And that gave birth to one of the most heinous murderers that history has ever known. And this Angulimal was a terror, of course. And one day, Gautam Buddha had come to the same village where Angulimal was situated. That was the village or the town, the city of his father. Gautam Buddha's father's kingdom, he returns after a long, long time, right? But Gautam Buddha, now being an ascetic, a renunciate, a person who had renounced the kingdom, was begging for food, as all renunciates would beg, all monks would beg. Even though he came back to the kingdom of his father, he was begging food on the streets of the kingdom. So, of course, the father had assigned guards to him, as he would do for his son. And at that point of time, Angulimal was looking for his 1,000th, he was looking for 1,000th prey so that he could kill him, cut his thumb, and finish his target. And that is when he comes across Gautam Buddha. The story goes that all the villagers, in a state of extreme fright, close the doors, go into their homes, and Gautam Buddha comes face to face with Angulimal. The guards for Gautam Buddha are ready to pounce upon this murderer, Angulimal. Buddha tells them not to hurt him, and he just looks at Angulimal, just one look, and Buddha's one look, which is described as the look at a passing cloud. Buddha never judged. He did not hold on to these things. You know, he was the teacher. for what we have discussed in the previous slide. Buddha had overcome this condition of cognition, perception, sensation, and reaction. If any common man would see Angulimal, he would, his senses would pick up a person, a murderer, and the perception that will be created is one of fear. The sensation will create, the sensation will be fear. Perception and the sensation, fear, will cause a reaction to run away or to get scared or to look at that person with intense fear. But when Gautam Buddha looked at Angulimal, he was an observer, he was a sakshi, he was a witness, he was the master of this teaching. This teaching called as the mindfulness, vipassana, all of them talk about one thing, being just mindful, just observe. And when you start just becoming the observer, when you do not have any cognition, perception, sensation, or you do not react, then you are channelizing the energy of the Atma through you. And when you channelize the energy of the Atma through you, if the person in front of you has to receive the energy of healing, then he will just receive it. Because the energy of the Atma and the Paramatma, you are channelizing without tainting it with your color or sensation, without your perceived fears of happiness or goodness. Without any perception and sensation, you are channelizing the Atmic energy, the Paramatma energy, which can penetrate into any person, even though he is a heinous murderer, and transform him instantaneously. But the question should be asked, why was Angulimal just transformed by the mere sight of Gautam Buddha? And Azat Shatru took a long, long time to be transformed. The reason is Angulimal was just following the instructions of his teacher, the Acharya. Even though he was mistaken, he was doing a mistake, a grave mistake. The intent was to follow the teacher. So there are differences. Of course, the differences are so many. It becomes so hard to be able to explain all this on a public platform where there are people who understand it at different levels. But I hope you are getting the essence. अंगुलीमाल के कहानी के अनुसार अंगुलीमाल जो एक हत्यारे थे, वो हत्यारा इसीलिए बने क्योंकि उनके आचार्य ने बोला, उनके गुरु ने बोला, दूसरे शिष्यों ने गुरु के कान में विष भर दिया और गुरु को ऐसे बोल दिया गया कि ये इंसान बहुत गलत है। तो इस आचार्य ने अंगुलीमाल को एक बहुत ही अचंभित करने वाली एक लक्ष्य दिया कि 1000 लोगों का हत्या करो और उनका अंगूठा काट के अपना एक माला बनाओ। तो ये काम, इस लक्ष्य को, इस एकमात्र लक्ष्य को पूरा करने के लिए अंगुलीमाल अपना जीवन जी रहा था। वो एक डिसिप्लिन मतलब आज्ञाकारी शिष्य था। और एक दिन गौतम बुद्ध अपने पिताजी के उस राज्य में भीख मांगते हुए घर से घर भिक्षामदेही का जो पुकार है उसके साथ भीख मांग रहे थे। उस पुकारते पुकारते घरों में भीख मांग रहे थे कि पीछे से अंगुलीमाल वहाँ पे अपना 1000 मतलब 1000 लोगों के लिए एक बस एक इंसान की ज़रूरत थी। वो शिकार ढूंढ रहा था कि कौन है वो 1000वां अंगूठा जिसको जिसको काट के मैं अपना माला पूरा कर सकता हूँ और मैं अपने आज्ञा का पालन करके अपने लक्ष्य को पूरा करके अपने शिक्षक के पास जाके Can you hear me? Hear me. Affirmation. Can you still hear me? Yes. Okay. Okay. जो कहानी बहुत मेहनत से हिंदी और इंग्लिश में रिपीट चल रहा था, आई विल मेक दैट कहानी सिंपल and quick again. I don't know till where we had reached on the story. We were talking about the story of Angulimal. I think it is there in one of our Instagram posts. Okay. So I hope you heard the Angulimal story. Yes, no. When he saw Gautam Buddha. Okay. Was it in English or Hindi? So anyway, right. So when he, yeah, जब उन्होंने अंगुलिमाल को देखा तो गौतम बुद्ध जो थे वो अपने इंद्रियों के गुलाम नहीं थे। गौतम बुद्ध इंद्रियों का गुलाम नहीं थे। अपने आंखें, कान, नाक, टंग, स्किन, माइंड, इसके गुलामी नहीं था उनका। नो सेक्सुअल अर्जेस, नो सेक्सुअल एक्सेसिवनेस, कंप्लीट ट्रांसम्यूटेशन ऑफ सेक्स एनर्जी। यस, नॉट बॉदर्ड अबाउट व्हाट यू सी इज गुड और बैड, शुभ अशुभ कोई फर्क नहीं पड़े। देयर इज अ मेडिटेशन इन बुद्धिज्म विच इज कॉल्ड शुभा अशुभा मेडिटेशन, where you are actually looking at what is beautiful and you are able to experience peace within you. Then you look at something like a dirty bathroom, and are you experiencing the same peace within you, or do you get shaken up? Explain. बताओ। जब आप बहुत एक सुंदर चीज को देखते हो तो आपके अंदर शांति महसूस होते हैं, शांति महसूस होता है। लेकिन बहुत सो कॉल्ड गंदा दृश्य देखते हो, जैसे एक बिल्कुल अनक्लीन बाथरूम है, यस, कूड़ा पड़ा हुआ है जो स्मेल करने के लिए भी बहुत गंदा है। लोग 5 स्टार होटल में कमरे में थोड़ा सा 19-20 गड़बड़ हो जाता है तो बोलते हैं इस बार होटल मैडम ठीक नहीं था उतना जितना हमने सोचा। सो योर इनएबिलिटी टू survive in a state of what is shubh and ashubh, yes, what is good and bad, creates a certain perception and a sensation. Yes, what is good and what is bad is a constant idea that is there in people's minds. क्या अच्छा क्या बुरा, and depending on what is good and what is bad, everything in your life is constantly being divided between good, bad, average, bad, worst. There is a constant cognition, and your sensory organs are governing you, are deciding what you have to eat, what you have to wear, what you have to do, how much you have to eat, whether you need to eat something which tastes good, smells good, and you have to eat double of what you always eat. Your sensory organs are governing you. It is not the Atmic consciousness which governs you. हमारे इंद्रियों का गुलाम हम अक्सर बन जाते हैं, हम अपने इंद्रियों का गुलाम बन जाते हैं अक्सर। The sensory organs, if they start governing you, you will not be able to channelize the energy of the Atma. When you will become the perfect healer, when all your senses will cease to control you, when all the perceptions and the sensations and the reactions will be dissolved. So, this was the situation of Gautam Buddha. Gautam Buddha was constantly channelizing the energies. गौतम बुद्ध लगातार आत्मा और परमात्मा के ऊर्जा के ऐसे एक माध्यम थे जो इंद्रियों से गुजरते हुए नहीं, जो बस सीधा सीधा आत्मा और परमात्मा का ऊर्जा इनके आंखों से जिसको देखते थे उसके अंदर घुस जाता था. The moment he looks at somebody's eyes, he had the capability of connecting that person to the Atma and the Paramatma itself because he was connected. The moment he would look into somebody's eyes, he had the capacity to connect that person into their Atma and Paramatma if they had a little karmic condition or if they were receptive. Like I was trying to tell you the story of Azad Shatru. Azad Shatru was not receptive. He wanted to kill Gautam Buddha in the beginning, but later on, at the end of his life, he becomes a disciple, a monk himself. But the whole point is the person, if he is even a little receptive, of course, you cannot send the energy of electricity. You cannot send electricity through a rubber. Master would say, we cannot send electricity through a rubber. मास्टर बोलते थे कि हम किसी रबर वस्तु में, रबर मतलब बिल्कुल जो कंडक्टिव नहीं है, जिसके द्वारा बिजली पास नहीं हो सकता है, जो नॉन रिसेप्टिव है, जो ग्रहणशील नहीं है, उसके द्वारा ऊर्जा भिजवाना नामुमकिन है. Maybe if you heal the person for about 2 months, 3 months, 1 year, you will be able to make the person receptive. Like Gautam Buddha spent a long time on Azat Shatru to make that person receptive, and then he was transformed into becoming a monk. But if the person is receptive, in the case of Angulimal, he was a murderer, but he was receptive. He was a disciplined shishya. He was just following what his acharya told him. Are you getting my point? In all such cases, if you come across, if the person who is receptive, he's an obedient follower, obedient, just follow simple instructions, Master would say. Master would say, just follow simple instructions. Of course, many times people will land up with gurus who are not very righteous, like Angulimal did, depending on their past karmic situations. But when the karma becomes better, you land with a guru who has the capability to be able to channelize the energy of the Atma and the Paramatma, and that receptivity within the person will immediately bring about a conscious shift. Are you getting my point? Can you visualize this? क्या आप इसको कल्पना करके देख सकते हो कि गौतम बुद्धा के आंखों से परमात्मा और आत्मा की ऊर्जा बहता था? क्यों? क्योंकि वो अपने इंद्रियों के गुलाम नहीं थे. वो इंद्रियां जिनके गुलामी से मनुष्य किसी भी हालात में रिएक्ट करते करते, किसी भी छोटी सी बात को इंद्रियों के द्वारा उसका जजमेंट पास करते हुए रिएक्शन कर लेता है, और रिएक्ट करते हुए वो अपने आप को कर्म के बंधन में बांध लेता है. और गौतम बुद्धा बिल्कुल इससे परे थे, इससे पार थे. गौतम बुद्धा वॉज बियॉन्ड दिस. ही वॉज नॉट अ स्लेव टू हिज sensory organs. That is the most important thing you have to understand. Are you enslaved to the sensory organs is a question that you have to look into. हम लोग कितने अपने इंद्रियों के गुलाम बने हुए हैं? जितना जितना ज्यादा कोई इंसान अपने इंद्रियों का गुलाम बना हुआ है, मन भी एक इंद्रिय है जो हमें कभी कभी गुमराह कर देता है ये सोचने के लिए कि हम श्रेष्ठ है, हम सही है, और वो इंसान गलत था. और जब हम इन इंद्रियों के गुलाम बनते हैं तो हम एक्चुअली जो दिव्य ऊर्जा प्रसारित करते हैं, जो गुरु और आत्मा और परमात्मा, जब गुरु की ऊर्जा प्रसारित करेंगे तो हम आत्मा के साथ जो जुड़ गए हैं. लेकिन क्या बात है ना कि गुरु की ऊर्जा हमारे अंदर आता है, लेकिन हमारे दिल दिमाग जो मस्तिष्क से गुजरते गुजरते हमारे आंखों तक पहुंचने के पहले हमारे इंद्रियां, आंखें भी इंद्रियां हैं, और अक्सर हमारे आंखों की जो आदत होती है कि कुछ ऐसे खूबसूरत चीज को देखने की. यस, maybe your eyes only consider that the temples are divine, the mosques are the not divine. Are you getting my point? हो सकता है कि आपके आंखों की आदत है ये समझने की कि जो मंदिर जैसे दृश्य है वो दिव्य है, और जो मस्जिद जैसे है वो दिव्य नहीं है. आप सोचो, समझो कि किस तरीके के दृश्य, कहाँ पे आप जाना चाहते हो, किस के साथ पहुंचना चाहते हो. देखिए, गौतम बुद्धा के पहले बुद्धिज्म नहीं था, मान लेते हैं। हर चीज के पहले तो हिंदुइज्म ही था। लेकिन बात यह है कि हर चीज ईश्वर का ही अंश है। अगर एक चीज पूर्णता से अपने आप में संपूर्ण था और हर मनुष्य को सही मार्गदर्शन दे रहा होता, तो दूसरा एक चीज उसके जगह लेने की कोई जरूरत नहीं होती। मनुष्य के अपने गलतियों की वजह से और धर्म के आधार पे जो मनुष्य गलती करता है, उसके वजह से भगवान के पास और कोई रास्ता नहीं होता है। कुछ मनुष्य और कुछ मजहब धर्म और खड़ा करना पड़ता है। बिकॉज क्योंकि वो जो दूसरे गलती किए हैं, उस गलती के लिए कुछ और ही चैप्टर शुरू करना पड़ता है। सो अगर आपके आंखों में सिर्फ एक मंदिर दिव्य है और एक मस्जिद नहीं है, तो समझ लीजिए आप भी अपने आंखों नामक इंद्रियों का ही गुलाम है, और आपके मन नामक गुलाम इंद्रियों का ही गुलाम है। क्योंकि आपके मन और आंखों में ये विचार बना हुआ है, ये मन और आपके आंखों में ये विचार बना हुआ है कि यहाँ पे ईश्वर की वास हो सकती है, लेकिन यहाँ तो हो ही नहीं सकता है। तो ऐसे गुलामी में हम लोग पूर्णता से एक बेहतरीन हीलर नहीं बनते हैं। ऐसे गुलामी में हम पूर्णता से एक बेहतरीन ऐसे एक साधन नहीं बनते हैं जिसके द्वारा गुरु आत्मा गुरु और परमात्मा अपना ऊर्जा भिजवा पाए इस पृथ्वी में स्वर्ग लेके आने के लिए। पहले तो अपने जिंदगी में स्वर्ग लेके आने के लिए हमें अपने गुलामी से छुटकारा पाना पड़ेगा। वी विल हैव टू बी रिलीव्ड, वी हैव टू बी लिबरेटेड फ्रॉम आवर ओन कंडीशंस। am I understood? We have to be liberated from our own conditions where we are assessing something as good or bad, where we cannot find good or God in something that we think that cannot be available over there. It is a very important understanding. Most of us may be great with our own religion, with our own understanding, but not so great with what something is not agreeable to our sensations, जो हमारे इंद्रियों को बस मना नहीं सकते हैं। वहां पे उनके गुलाम बन जाते हैं, और उस गुलामी में ही हम अपने कर्म को आगे बढ़ाते जाते हैं। सो व्हेन वी प्रैक्टिस माइंडफुलनेस और विपासना और एनी ज़ेन मेडिटेशन और ध्यान, ध्यान के बीच में जब सिर्फ हम अपने श्वास पे ध्यान देते हैं, तो इसी तरीके से आप दिन भर किसी चीज को कंट्रोल किए बिना आप सिर्फ उस पे ध्यान दे सकते हो। तो आप आत्मा के ऊर्जा के लिए एक ऐसे साधन बन जाते हो जहां पे आपकी कोई रुकावट नहीं है। You are not coloring the energy of the Atma and the Paramatma by your intentions, your sensations, your perceptions, and your reactions. When you come to that point, you will start channelizing the energy of the Atma and the Paramatma as Gautam Buddha had done, that is, channelize the energy of the Atma and the Paramatma into Angulimal like the passing cloud. तो ये डिस्क्रिप्शन है कि गौतम बुद्धा कैसे किसी इंसान को देखते थे, किसी विषय को देखते थे। ऐसे किसी इंसान या किसी विषय के तरफ भी उनका उतना ही सोच था जैसे चलते हुए बादलों की तरफ बस देखते रहते हैं कोई इंसान। यू डू नॉट हैव अ जजमेंट टुवर्ड्स अ पासिंग क्लाउड, राइट? सिमिलरली, do not hold any judgment towards a person. That is what I'm trying to come at. Even if one person here, or even if I understand for myself, this, I think we have succeeded in today's book study. If we are able to remember this particular four things, which is called as the four noble truths: cognition, perception, sensation, and reaction, is what is called as the four noble truths of Gautam Buddha. Yes, the reason why suffering happens. And how do you eliminate the suffering? Through the eightfold path. What is eightfold path? Accurate perception. In accurate perception, you have eightfold or eight spokes. Jesse, there is something called as the Dharma wheel. If you Google online the Dharma wheel, when we talk about the Aratic, we talk about the Dharma wheel. Yes, accurate perception is called as right viewpoint. सही नजरिया, सही नजरिया किसके नजर से देखना है? गुरु के नजर से या आत्मा के नजर से, परमात्मा के नजर से? हाँ, ये तीन तो फिर भी ठीक है, लेकिन ऑफ कोर्स गुरु आपके कौन से नजर से देखता है, वो भी दूषित है क्या? वो भी अपने इंद्रियों का गुलाम है क्या? ये तो पहले सोचने की बात है। तो आत्मा और परमात्मा के नजर से देखना शुरू करो। आत्मा भी क्या आपका पूर्ण है? पवित्र तो हो सकता है, लेकिन पूर्ण है क्या? नहीं है। तो फिर क्या? फिर परमात्मा के नजर से देखना शुरू करो। जब हम किसी चीज के साथ साथ उसका जजमेंट जोड़ना बंद करेंगे, उसका रिएक्शन परसेप्शन बंद करेंगे, तो हम परमात्मा के नजर से देखना शुरू करते हैं। दैट इज कॉल्ड राइट व्यू पॉइंट। Of course, like we have been discussing, everything comes in degrees. Right viewpoint, then because of my right viewpoint, there is born right thought, right speech, right action, right spiritual effort, right livelihood, right awareness, and right oneness. This is part of the Arahatic teaching. And as we start making ourselves right, and more clearer and clearer, cleaner and cleaner aura, our aura through which we are seeing this world, हमारा आभा मंडल है जिसके द्वारा हम इस दुनिया को देख पाते हैं। जितना ज़्यादा हमारे समझ साफ सुथरा होते जाता है, उतना ज़्यादा हम इन इंद्रियों का गुलामी करना बंद करते हैं। इन इंद्रियों का गुलामी करना तभी बंद कर सकते हैं जब हमारे मन के सोच और विचार की गुलामी बंद हो सकता है। वॉट आई थिंक इज ग्रेट, वॉट आई थिंक इज राइट, एंड वॉट आई थिंक शुड बी डन, मुझे लगता है कि ऐसा ही करना चाहिए इन चीज़ों को। अगर मेरे अनुसार नहीं किया तो मेरे अंदर हलचल शुरू हो जाता है। सो व्हाट इज इट? आई एम एनस्लेव्ड बाय माय माइंड, माय कॉग्निशन, माय परसेप्शन, माय सेंसेशन, माय रिएक्शन। Think about it. It is a dangerous situation. How do you expect to become perfect healers? Like the Gautam Buddha, like to become those perfect healers. Yes, I was reading this thing on Ramakrishna Paramahansa. Now, Ramakrishna Paramahansa used to meditate on the goddess. And one fine day, he was in a state of complete eccentricity. इसको पागलपन ही बोलेंगे कि उसको ऊपर नीचे दाएं बाएं पैर में, अपनी बीबी में, सब जगह माता दिख रही है। अपने बीबी में के पैरों में पड़ जाते हैं, बोलते हैं तुम ही भगवान हो। हर एक चीज को बस अपने माथे पे लगाना शुरू कर देते हैं, अपने सिर पे लगाना शुरू कर देते हैं। क्या है ये? पागलपन है। हाँ, पागलपन जरूर था, लेकिन वो ऐसे एक इंसान बन जाते जिसके द्वारा माता को बिना कोई रुकावट आने के लिए एक माध्यम मिल गया, और उस माध्यम ने चमत्कार करना शुरू कर दिया। दुनिया के नजरों में जहां भी ईश्वर और द डिवाइन मदर्स एनर्जी, यस, माँ, इट कैन बी काली, इट कैन बी लक्ष्मी, वॉट एवर यू वॉन्ट, द डिवाइन गॉड, डिवाइन फादर, डिवाइन मदर, the infinite energy of the Divine Mother, when it passes through a person without any obstacles, that person becomes a miracle in himself. And whoever comes and asks anything, even though that person may even not be able to understand what the request is, because the energy has reached the asker or the person who has requested, the wish is fulfilled, and there starts the miracles. चमत्कार के लिए क्या चाहिए? ऐसे एक साधन चाहिए जिसमें कोई रुकावट नहीं। ऐसे एक इंसान चाहिए जो सरल है, और कभी कभी अज्ञान हो सकता है। अज्ञानियों के साथ तो बहुत ज्यादा चमत्कार होता है, ज्ञानियों के साथ सबसे कम, बिकॉज अपना दिमाग लगाना शुरू कर देते हैं। और फिर ज्ञानी से हम वापस क्या अज्ञान बन सकते हैं? नहीं, हमको सरल बनना पड़ेगा, विनम्र बनना पड़ेगा। जब हम ज्ञानी अपने ज्ञान को बिल्कुल काट देते हैं, अपने ज्ञान को बिल्कुल गुरु के कदमों में डाल देते हैं, तो हम सरल बन जाते हैं। उस सरलता में पत्थर भी तैरना शुरू हो जाता है। जब राम को सेतु बनाना था, तो पत्थर ढूंढते ढूंढते, पत्थरों के ऊपर राम का नाम लिखते लिखते पत्थर तैरने लगे। ये कहानी है। और राम ने खुद का नाम लिखा तो पत्थर डूबा। तो सोचो, यू नीड टू बिकम हम्बल, विनम्र। शिष्य बनना है, गुरु अपने आप बन जाओगे। शिष्य बनना होगा, विनम्रता होना होगा, अपने आप से गुरु बन जाओगे। क्योंकि जब विनम्र बन जाते हो तो अपने द्वारा वो असीम परमात्मा और ब्रह्मांड का जो ऊर्जा है आपके हर कण कण में बहने लगता है। और उस असीम ऊर्जा के साथ तो इस दुनिया में कुछ भी चमत्कार हो सकता है. At least one person is supposed to be completely receptive, and the other people can be even in one of these categories, either ignorant or humble. Humble and receptive, or ignorant and receptive, both works to receive the healing. Humble and receptive, ignorant and receptive, both works for healing to be received. But to become a channel of healing, you have to be extremely knowledgeable, humble and receptive. तुम्हारे उस ज्ञान के अहंकार को तुम गले से जब काटते हो, तब अज्ञानता नहीं पैदा होता है, तब सरलता पैदा होता है. और उस सरलता से आप इस दुनिया के हर चमत्कार को मुमकिन बना सकते हो. You have to become that person who is no longer enslaved by their senses. I like this, it should be beautiful. It should be beautiful, ठीक है, but if it is not beautiful, it does not mean it is God. Again, I repeat the same story that we discussed a couple of days ago. Adi Shankaracharya going on a planquin. In front of him, a scheduled caste person, Chandala, comes in a very, very dirty form. And the people who are carrying the planquin say, "Get out, you ugly, stupid Chandala." And the Chandala says, "What do you think? There is no God within me. There is no soul within me. Just because on the outside it is ugly, it does not mean there is no soul within me. Think, think, think. पढ़ने से, सीखने से, सिखाने से भी नहीं होगा. उससे भी नहीं होता है. जीना पड़ेगा सच्चाई को. आदि शंकराचार्य जैसे तुमको लोग उठा के लेके चले, तब भी तुम सरल नहीं बने होंगे तो क्या फायदा. तुम्हारे सरलता ही तुम्हारे जीवन के चमत्कार का एकमात्र गारंटी है. It is only by becoming completely humble that the energies of miraculous existence, miraculous things can actually happen through you. So think about it. Your every view has to be just like as if you are looking at the passing cloud. हमारे नज़र किससे भरा हुआ है कि इंसान हमें पैसा देगा क्या. जब कोई पेशेंट आता है आपके पास तो क्या किस पे नज़र जाता है कि क्या ये इंसान हमें कुछ पैसा देगा, कुछ मदद करेगा, कुछ करेगा क्या, सेवा भाव से भी करेगा क्या. हमारे नजरों में समझ आता है, हमारे नजर ने हमारी गुलामी का एक प्रूफ दे दिया. सो थिंक अबाउट इट. what is beautiful, what is not beautiful does not really matter. You have to maintain a state of stillness in shubh and ashubh. Whether it is a home where there is a party going on or whether it is a funeral, your inner state has to be still. Whether there is a storm in your life or whether there is extreme happiness, your inner state has to be that of stillness. Because the divine will be constantly testing you. Are you a capable instrument? Your inner state is the only thing that the divine sees. अगर ईश्वर को, परमात्मा को कुछ चीज आपका देखना हो तो क्या देखेंगे. सिर्फ आपके अंदर के हालात को देखने की जरूरत है उन्हें. They are only going to be focusing on what you are inside, not what you speak on Instagram, what you speak on Facebook. You may have a lakh followers. How does it matter? If your inner state is not stable, people will stop getting inspired by you. If your inner state is not stable, the magnetic energy of the divine will stop flowing through you. If your inner state is not still and stable, if you do not stop judging, you will not become a channel for the divine. Your knowledge does not determine your greatness. और बहुत लोग बोलने में अव्वल होते हैं. तुम्हारे कुछ बोलने से तुम्हारे द्वारा मैग्नेटिक एनर्जी बहता है, इसमें कोई गारंटी नहीं है. Master would say, how will you choose your spiritual teacher? Check, 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 scan. Put your head down at the feet of the Guru and say, Master, please, for the purpose of scanning, I wish to find out what is the degree of spiritual energy that is radiating through this person. If there is any spiritual energy radiating through this person, only then this person can actually be channelizing the soul energy. जिस इंसान के द्वारा, जिस इंसान को हम गुरु मानते हैं, क्या इस इंसान से किसी भी प्रकार का आध्यात्मिक ऊर्जा प्रसारित हो रहा है क्या? This is a question to be asked by all people who are on the spiritual path. किसी भी इंसान को अपना गुरु मानने के पहले आंखें खोलो, पहले तो प्रश्न पूछो कि जिसको हम फॉलो कर रहे हैं और सो कॉल्ड गुरु के साथ तुम कुछ समय के लिए बैठ जाओ तो उसके रंग में आप रंग जाते हो, लेकिन उसका क्या रंग है? आत्मा और परमात्मा का रंग है या उसका अज्ञानता का रंग है? उसका क्या रंग है? दिस इज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन. We have to be able to understand what kind of spiritual energy flows through this person. Very important to understand before you just go and put your head at the feet of somebody and say, "You are my all in all." Just actually check if there is any spiritual energy coming out of that person. Spiritual energy radiation is magnetism. That is the only thing which will ensure that you are not enslaved by your sensory organs. The more a person is enslaved by the sensory organs, the lesser will be the radiation of spiritual energies. आपके द्वारा क्या बहता है? What is it that is radiating through you? Check. It's a very important question to be asked. Most of the time, people are not enslaved by their eyes, ears, nose, or skin. They are not sexually enslaved. They are not enslaved to food. They are not enslaved to music or movies or anything, but they're enslaved to their knowledge. Their thought that I know everything and I am the best. And what I know, so they filter every information through their so called acquired knowledge. It's a very dangerous situation. When you start filtering everything through your so called acquired knowledge, it is truly a dangerous situation. Yes. So you have to be very clear about whom you are ready to follow, where you are going, what is the degree of magnetic energy that that person radiates, क्या है उसकी असलियत. So think. Start becoming an observer. बहुत लोगों ने किताब पढ़ा है कि हमें साक्षी भाव में रहना है, और जैसे ही हम ये बताते हैं बोलते हैं हाँ हाँ आप बिल्कुल सही बोलते हैं, आप बिल्कुल सही बोलते हैं. We have to start becoming an observer. I have read this, I have done this earlier. सुन लो भाई. अगर तुम ऑलरेडी थे उस हालात में तो आपको बताने की कोई जरूरत नहीं होगी ईश्वर को. It is that each one of us have to start this job. Our life will automatically turn into something which is miraculous and exemplary. I think people have had enough. So let us do Thanksgiving. We thank the Supreme Parabrahman, the Divine Father, Divine Mother, my spiritual teacher and all spiritual teacher, all the great ones, all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, archangels, holy angels, spiritual helpers. Thank you for the purification, strengthening, empowerment, upgradation, alignment to be able to fulfill our part and bringing heaven into this earth and into the lives of all those around us. Thank you, Master. Thank you, Master. Thank you, Master. Deep gratitude, deep reverence and respect, and lots of love. We thank you in full faith. Atma Namaste to all of you. Thank you for being with us in these sessions to help us understand Atma Namaste.